The Subcommittee of Economic Growth, Energy Policy, and Regulatory Affairs will come to order. I want to welcome everyone for coming today and thank you for your time. Without objection, the Chair may declare a recess at any time. I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Today's hearing focuses on an issue that is critical, of course, to all Americans, and that is the reliability and security of our nation's power grid. When we flip on the switch, plug in your phone charger, or put groceries in the fridge, you expect electricity will be flowing. In fact, we take it for granted. When I was in the military, I remember horror stories of fellow service members that were stationed overseas in other countries, and it wasn't always the case. In fact, it was sometimes regular that they could expect a power outage for up to 3-4 hours daily. And as Americans, we know when it happens for an hour once or twice a year, we get absolutely furious and our heads want to explode. So an elaborate network of power plants, transmission lines, and distribution nodes work every day to deliver electricity where and when it's needed. However, as demand grows, so do the risks for that reliability to fail. In 2023, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, which serves as the watchdog for grid reliability, released its long-term reliability assessment. And that assessment warned regulators and utilities that more reliable capacity was needed to mitigate the challenges presented by growing electricity demand. That is why it's urgently needed, and it's urgently important for Congress to engage in serious discussions to identify the risks to this reliability and safeguard our grid against threats. Many of these threats don't come from within the network, so where do they come from? Weather, of course, poses a significant risk to the grid. We've also seen foreign adversaries or entities sponsored by them use cyber attacks to cripple the grid, and that's something they can do from afar, half a world away. But many of these risks are caused by the federal government. New regulations proposed under this administration will strain the system and the grid's really just not prepared to handle it. Regulations, including attempts to force car companies to only, and that's the key word here, only manufacture electric vehicles, create a significant new demand on the grid, one that many experts say is completely unsustainable. Regulations attempting to rid of all fossil fuel power plants, despite the necessity in providing consistent power generation. Regulations forcing more electric appliances onto the market, despite the fact that under the new standards, many of them will not work. Not to mention this administration's radical push for renewables while ignoring the need for power generation around the clock, not just when the sun is shining and, of course, the wind is blowing. What is the cumulative impact of all these regulations? Well, you have to ask this question too. Is our existing grid system even remotely prepared to deliver the volume of electricity these rush to green policies require? What do we need to do to ensure the American people have the reliable and affordable power that they need and, quite frankly, that they've come accustomed to? That's what we're here to find out. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, oversees our nation's bulk power system, including generation, transmission, and distribution of power needed to maintain grid reliability. We offered FERC the opportunity to appear at today's hearing. Unfortunately, FERC declined to participate. Luckily, we have the next best thing, which is former Commissioner James Danley, who can speak to the inner workings of FERC and how they should respond to these challenges. We also are going to hear today from Mr. Travis Fisher, an expert with significant experience at FERC and in the private sector. I hope our conversations here today will be insightful and help us better look into how we can prepare for the challenges ahead and what Congress should consider when debating issues impacting the security of our power grid. I want to thank all the witnesses for coming today, and I yield to Ranking Member Bush for her opening statement.